The next title that we have is Collaborative Innovation Along the Automotive Value Chain. And for this, I have the pleasure to introduce the next panelist. But I have the honor to introduce my colleague from Plug and Play. She is the Partner Success Manager. Let's receive Madeline with a big round of applause. The energy is up there, you know? And look at this, look at this. Look. All right, you do that. Take care of it.
Thank you very much. So, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us today and to listen to us. So, as Gillard already mentioned, we will now explore how collaboration between OEMs, Tier 1 suppliers, and Tier 2 suppliers is driving innovation in the automotive industry. So please join me in welcoming our panelists to the stage. Martin Vollmer, Vice President, Business Group Lighting at Faurecia Hella. Guillaume Cabrera, Head of Startup Collaboration at Volvo Cars Tech Fund. And Matthias Vollner, Senior Director ADAS at NXP. Thank you very much. Yeah, so thanks a lot for joining me on stage and sharing your insights. And yeah, let's dive into our discussion and with the first question to you, Martin. So, Matrix LED headlights have significantly improved both the safety and the aesthetics of automotive lighting, making it to a key innovation in the automotive industry. So, could you walk us through how this feature from conception to implementation exemplifies the collaborative innovation process between an OEM and Faurecia Hella?
It's my pleasure. Hello, everyone. So if we talk about lighting, we're talking about comfort and safety. So there's the old saying, light is about see and be seen. But if you look to those nicely executed show cars, you simply would expect that. Yeah? I would bet you don't have any doubt that those cars are safe and comfort. So there must be something more. And basically lighting nowadays is also emotional. So it's used for brand and car line differentiation. So it underlines the characteristic of a car. So therefore, we are the best friends of the automotive designers, so to say. So when we come back to the comfort aspect, so when we also talk about the Matrix LED headlight, so this story started somehow a decade ago. So if we integrate comfort and safety features, it has to be seamless. So you do not need to doubt about a safety function pops up. So basically, when we introduced the first digital headlamp, it was 2013 already, but this was not seamless. So basically, we had a segmented high beam, so you were able to see the whole environment. You were driving with all-time high beam during nighttime, but nevertheless, we thought already how we can develop that further and introduce also features which are also customizable and underlining even further the design aspect of the cars. So basically, it was clear that we cannot going further with incremental steps. So we have to find something more fundamental. And that was the point in time where we also reached out to our industry partners, but also customers, because we had to work on a kind of leap. Yeah? And that was also kind of a funded project, so government-funded project, which we started. And in parallel, we were working on the small steps to improve the headlamps from the next generation. It took us somehow like 7 years for the research, and what we came up with was a kind of big leap in terms of technology. So we developed with our partners LED light sources, which are basically micro LEDs, so 40 micrometers in size. And we had 25,000 pixels, which fits into the size of half the fingernail. So if you think of those discrepancies, that is really a big leap. We also integrated the IC with one of the industry partners, and we luckily found also a customer, which was also an early stage believer, who went further with us into that journey. After a certain time, we also were mature enough to really introduce the technologies to a new product, to a new project. That project is already on the market now, so you can buy it already. I do not want to mention now which customer it is, but he's exhibiting here as well. So basically, if you compare that with other technologies, it is now only 25% of the size, while being 3 times more efficient. And that also fits quite well to sustainability aspects, to package space, and all the demands the OEM has. So we will definitely roll that technology out with our partners. and basically also introduce customer experience combined with the nice styling and sustainability aspects.
Great, thank you very much. And yeah, let's talk a little bit about the OEM perspective and coming over to you, Guillaume. So could you please explain how Volvo as an OEM collaborates with Tier 1 suppliers such as Forvia Hella or Tier 2 suppliers like NXP to bring cutting-edge features to the market? And maybe also elaborate a little bit more on how startups integrate into this collaborative ecosystem and find their roles.
Sure. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Guillaume. I represent Volvo Cars Tech Fund, which is the corporate venture arm of Volvo Cars. So we invest in startups. We take minority stake. So in that sense, maybe I'm going to inject a bit more of a startup scene into that thinking. Of course, we innovate with our Tier 1 and Tier 2, but I think what we can add to the mix is basically, as an investment entity, probably the creation of more optionality for the group, because we know that we are not the biggest car manufacturer in the world, and it's not the intent, and we will never be. We are more of a premium brand targeting a very specific set of demographics with very specific set of vehicles. And as such, we could have also the risk of locking ourselves up into the tech roadmap of a company, a Tier 1, which would be like massive, and for which we represent maybe a little tiny portion of their business. So I think this is where the startup, if I'm super pragmatic and real and concrete, this is where the startups could act to the mix, which is like to recreate another symmetrical relationship with a smaller entity, which is fully dedicated to the creation of a new generation of technology that would equip our car. If I take one example, you have that with the LiDAR technology. I guess everyone in the room knows what a LiDAR is. We could have gone with a major Tier 1, we could have gone do it ourselves, which was not maybe the most realistic scenario. In the end, we decided to go for Luminar, which got created by a 17-year-old guy that knew absolutely nothing about the automotive industry. When we invested in Luminar, the guy was still pretty young, like 23 years old. He still had no clue on what it would take to manufacture at scale with the grade of quality, reliability, and security required by a company such as Volvo Cars. But we decided to still ride that journey together, and we knew that there would be some bumps on the road, but we had the firm commitment from our engineering team that we would work together, really paving the way for high-scale production and robust production for the LiDAR. And what is interesting is that Luminar, along the way, struggled with some hardware part of their product. And now, because we had a huge network of suppliers, we opened the doors of our supplier networks for them to solve that issue so that they could still stay focused on the main aspect of the tech stack that had to build. So we did it almost like in reverse. Started with the startup and then inject some of our strategic relations with our suppliers to help them solve the pain points of the startup, which was preventing them to move fast. And if we forward 6 years after, because that's basically what it takes to move to full production, after 6 years of collaboration, you may know that the Luminar LiDAR will equip the next generation of our EVs, the EX90, before the end of this year, to make those cars much more aware of their surroundings, much more secure, and able to detect things up to 300 or 400 meters ahead of the driver. So it's almost like the reverse story of your traditional connection to Tier 1 or Tier 2. But of course, you need all in the mix because it's about optionalities.
Yes, thank you very much. And yeah, now over to you, Matthias, as a Tier 2 supplier working at NXP. So NXP and Forvia Hella have been collaborating on radar technology for the automotive industry. And yeah, could you elaborate a little bit on how this collaboration has contributed to advancement in radar systems and how it has impacted the automotive value chain?
Thanks, Madeleine. I would actually like to go back to the early days of autonomous driving, back to 2012. At that point in time, automotive radar sensors were still relatively exotic, were not used widely. They were based on an exotic semiconductor technology called silicon germanium. And we had worked with academia, with university research for a couple of years on a disruptive approach based on what is called RF CMOS. Now, it wasn't until in 2015, 2016, a large German car manufacturer, I cannot name here, came forward with a concept of a so-called nano radar that would shrink, that would miniaturize, that would make widely available that vital technology that we use today for ADAS and autonomous driving. That was when we partnered up with Hella Forvia on our first generation RF CMOS-based radar, which together allowed us to really introduce a groundbreaking new type of radar sensor into the market that's been shipping tens of millions of times in the meantime and really has boosted the capabilities of ADAS and autonomous driving. Now, fast forward, where are we today? Today, we are in our third generation RF CMOS, and today that fits onto a fingertip. So you see here, the chip is almost impossible to see with your bare eyes, and that allows customers like Hella Forvia to fit radar sensors into a form factor that is smaller than the palm of my hand. Yet, these radar sensors, they are as powerful as never before. So we can see small objects, pedestrians, bicycle riders, hundreds of meters down the road, very reliably. We can detect small objects, small features like a curbstone very reliably, which is important for advanced comfort functions, for highway pilot, for parking assist, for the urban pilot. So this is, in my essence, what I think about when I refer to collaboration, collaborative innovation across the automotive value chain, but actually across the entire ecosystem, because we work closely with academia well ahead of time, since we had to nurture that technology, we had to get believers, we had to get support, we had to get funding ahead of time.
Thank you very much, Matthias, and also thanks for bringing the small chip and showing it to the audience. So my last question goes to all of you. When we look a little bit ahead, and challenges continue to evolve, or technologies continue to evolve, same as challenges. What are some of the challenges OEM and suppliers face in maintaining this collaborative approach to innovation? Maybe we start with you, Matthias.
Well, I think one of the major challenges, and we've heard about that many times now at the event, is the pace of innovation, right? It's relentless, it has accelerated a lot, and we need to now deliver new products, new solutions in a much shorter time than we've ever done before, which brings about new concepts like virtualization, software-defined features, the software-defined vehicle as a whole. So these are new challenges ahead of us that we'll need to master in order to keep innovating and in order to stay ahead of the curve.
On top of the pace, I would probably add the pressure that we're all facing within our respective organizations, supply chain pressure, cost pressure, security, safety pressure, customer expectation pressure, but it seems like it's piling up these days. And as we've seen with the Luminar example, innovation can take time when you do it properly, reliably, and at scale. So basically what you need to do is probably to give time and space to those teams which are innovating. You need to really ring-fence them and hold the bar for the long run, and not like pulling everything off each time there's a cloud with some rain. So you need to stay extremely strict on what you want to achieve and ring-fence the resources that are supposed to make that happen. So time and space for the teams innovating, that's probably the most crucial assets that you can give them.
I would like to add, the whole supply chain has to work on the affordability of innovation, to do not stuck into a niche application finally, that also doesn't make fun from an economical standpoint. So it has to be scalable in order to have really an impact.
Great, thank you very much for sharing all your insights and sharing also a little bit more information about the use cases and the technologies. I guess it's clear that collaborative innovation is essential for the future of the automotive industry. And yeah, let's continue this conversation beyond today to work together, as we have exemplified here, to drive innovation along the automotive value chain. Thank you so much, Matthias, Martin, and Guillaume, for joining me on stage.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, people.